Hey guys, this is Lisa from NYC Gal Out. We are talking The Real Housewives of Orange County, Season 18, Episode 5. The episode went by really fast, for me anyway, and we see more of Vicki and Alexis in this episode. I feel like Tamra is very fake. I mean, it's reality TV. They're all a little fake, whatever. I feel like she feels that she knows what producers want and that she's trying to make things happen. I think she wants to be like the queen bee and all this other stuff. She wants to be the authority on what happens on the set. She wants to be the one that moves the scene along. She wants to be the one with the most screen times, etc. The whole thing with Gina and Katie, I really like Katie. I fluctuate between Heather and Gina, how I feel about them. The same thing about Jen. I don't like Tamra. I just don't. And again, I'm a casual viewer of all these shows, not just of the OC, but of all the shows on Bravo. I am not into reality TV like that. I'm not into any TV show like that, scripted and unscripted. But, I don't like Tamra. Even as a casual viewer, I don't like her. I mean, I don't know. Let me know, you guys who are fans out there of the OC. What do you feel about Tamra? Do you like her? Do you not like her? Let me know what your opinion is. The public's consensus on Tamra and whatever else. The thing with Tamra that I don't like is that I don't understand why she's going so hard after Shannon. Now, she feels like it's because Shannon was talking shit about her, but Tamra talks shit about everybody. She talks shit about everybody. She could dish it, but she can't take it. If you're going to talk smack, you should have your big girl panties on, which is why I don't like with these crazy ass Stan accounts where they're like, oh my God, I got dogs, I got dogs, I got dogs. And it's like, but you were doing the same shit. So like, why are you crying like a little bitch? Like, if you could dish it, you should be able to take it. So if you're going to talk smack about the way somebody looks, the way somebody acts, the way somebody this, that, the other, if you're going to talk about money, then you should have a very large bankroll in your account, right? You see this a lot in girls and guys who really did not have like that high school young adult experience in life, and then instead they kind of, as adults, they're trying to like relive that youth, and you see it as like 50-60-year-old grandparents who are getting shit-faced. Tamra got shit-faced at BravoCon. Like, this woman, like, legit, she was up on a bar getting shit-faced, getting like alcohol poured down her throat by Joe Gorga. So she's trying to make a big deal about Shannon drinking and driving and her DUI and all this other stuff. And she's saying, I'm not an enabler. I don't enable people. I'm not that kind of friend. I do know, even though I don't freaking know Tamra from a hole in a wall, and even though I don't follow OC like that, I do know, though, that she does enable her son. Her oldest son. That son got into quite a few problems with the law, with domestic violence, with drugs. She seemed to enable his bad behavior. There were moments of contentions between Simon and that son where Simon didn't want him like around his children because of the way he was acting, the stuff that he was getting into and all this other stuff. Call it mother's love or whatever, but you're enabling. I feel like it's even worse to enable your son than it is to enable a friend. A friend is like, whatever, that's your friend. But like, if your son, like, you're screaming at Shannon that she needs rehab, she's an alcoholic and all this other stuff. I mean, does she have like this kind of intervention with her son? Like, was she screaming at him that he needed rehab? Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, sometimes you just need somebody to take it out on, right? And I feel like she's taking it out on Shannon, because Shannon at this point, she's kind of a little bit like an outcast. So it's easy for her to kind of go like really berate Shannon. Because here's the thing, though. You could kind of feel it. I feel it anyway when she came in and she's like, well, of course she brings Vicki because she needs backup. But why would anybody need backup? You would only need backup if you feel like you're going to get attacked. So I feel like Tamra, she already has her sights set on Shannon. She feels like she could scream and yell at Shannon and, basically berate her for that, because it's like something that you could keep on harping. We all know someone like that. When they have something, they want to harp on it forever. It's like if she would have bought Shannon a drink once upon a time, she would be like, well, I am a good friend. I picked up the tab for you once when we went to dinner. I bought you a steak. What about that time I bought you a steak? Well, that time that we went to a restaurant, I bought you a steak, and that steak cost like $75. So I am a good friend. It's like, we all know somebody like that, whether they like you or they don't like you. When they have something that they feel validating to them, they will always harp on it. They'll always say like, oh, well, you're an alcoholic. You got a DUI. What about this? What about this? Always on the same thing. But on the flip side, it's like, they'll use it if they ever did something good for you. They'll always be like, well, I bought you that steak dinner. It could be 20 years ago, but they'll be like, well, I bought you that steak dinner, It really made no sense why she would be angry at Shannon because, she says it's because Shannon was talking shit about her, but legit, like I said, Tamra talks shit about everybody. So her being angry makes absolutely no sense. You should be angry about the woman that sued you. Call it a storyline or whatever. I guess this is Tamra's storyline for the season, right? It's a stupid one. I don't even know what the fuck she's doing, but okay, whatever. And Emily even says that Tamra is a little upset that everybody is willing to move on and forgive Shannon. And so she at least knows that, okay, it doesn't even make sense to them, why Tamra's putting all that energy into having this animosity towards Shannon because she claims Shannon's talking shit about her. Okay, girl, whatever. I hope she comes up with something better for next season. I hope she has something more to move the wheels along than whatever bullshit this is that she has with Shannon. Shannon goes to have lunch with her dad, and she's telling her dad about the lawsuit, the $75,000 lawsuit. I actually covered that lawsuit. It's an old video. It's a video from last summer, so if you guys want to go that far back to go look it up. Her father asks her, well, was it a loan? Shannon tells her father no, and then her father's like, well, you paid for everything, and Shannon tells her dad that, what they submitted, it says, you have a repayment plan to come up with. And her father's like, no, you take this all the way, don't fold, basically. Alexis is very adamant that this was a loan, that it was a facelift, and the other amount was just because he was a generous guy and that she needed money. Shannon said something that I found was very interesting, and I feel like Alexis, if she's smart, she should probably pay attention to it. Shannon says in her confessional, you like keeping receipts, you better keep all your receipts because he's going to do this to you. Alexis, she's had a few failed marriages and that's no big deal, but I feel that she's basically in the same position as Jen is. And I feel like Jen, she wants to be a kept woman. Alexis wants to be a kept woman herself. And, that ended with Jim Bellino. She's doing what she needs to do. She has children, so I'm sure she's getting some sort of alimony or child support for her children. But she's looking to do that with John Jansen. I don't know if this guy has any money. Anyway, Emily, she has her anniversary dinner. It's Valentine's Day, by the way, this episode. So Emily has dinner with her husband. It's their 15th anniversary. He gives her this gorgeous diamond. He resetted the diamond and the diamond's bigger. It's nicer, beautiful. I love the design. That design is actually a very popular design, but the diamond is gorgeous. It was sparkling like crazy. At the restaurant, when she's showing the ladies what Sean gave her for their anniversary, Alexis legit looked like she wanted to snatch that ring off of Emily's fingers. The way she grabbed Emily's hand and was holding it up and tugging at it. I'm like, girl, you wanted to pull a Monica Garcia and steal Lisa Barlow's ring or some shit. Katie and Gina, they meet up. Here's the thing. I didn't like Gina in this episode. I like her in previous episodes. I didn't like her in this episode because she was two-faced. Katie, when she was talking in her confessional, she was like, well, I kind of feel bamboozled because here Gina is saying that, well, you need to bring this up with Heather or I'm going to bring it up. But then the next day she's like, well, why did you do that? I told you not to bring that up. Why would you bring that up? And producers, they show basically being two-faced. If you're coming up to me and saying, well, you need to bring it up to Heather or I'm going to bring it up to her, I'm going to feel like, well, yes, I need to present it to Heather in my own words because I don't want anybody else to speak for me. I need to say it to her myself. But then the next day, afterwards, why would you go and say oh, why did you say that? You shouldn't have bring that up. Why did you bring that up? Girl, make up your fucking mind. What? I do believe everyone, when they basically call Gina a ass kisser of Heather, that she's afraid to, call Heather out for BS. Whether it's because she feels like Heather can help her with connections or whether Heather can open doors for her or whatever it is, she values that friendship. But I feel like you value that friendship so much and you're not getting that same energy. It's kind of it reminds me of a little bit of that woman, what's her name? Melissa Pfeister. Melissa Pfeister, she was doing her podcast with Teresa Giudice and on the podcast, she would always be like, you're my girl, Teresa. I love you. I love your family. I love your daughters. You're my ride or die. You're my bestie. And Teresa would just be like, oh, thank you, honey. Thank you. That's so sweet. You could tell she really wanted to be besties with Teresa, basically. And I feel sort of that same energy with Gina and Heather. I feel like Gina really wants to be besties with Heather, but Heather's not giving her that same love back. Katie, she got upset. She got her feelings hurt. And, then Gina felt bad that Katie was teary-eyed, and she said, I don't want you to feel bad and all this other stuff and whatever else. I like Katie still. I'm a little bit starting to give Gina the side eye, like, girl. So Tamra, to Jen's face, is saying, I understand. We've all been in the same situation. I went through something similar with Simon and all this other stuff and blah, 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 blah. So to her face, she's being very sympathetic, right? How she wants to accuse Shannon of talking shit behind her back. Well, she's talking shit about Jen. Like, to her face, she's like being all sympathetic and saying, I understand your situation. To the other ladies, she's telling them, like, basically, like, Jen, like, she's not being realistic about her situation. Obviously, she's staring at an empty bank account and all this other stuff. And, she needs to basically do something about money, do something to get like a secure paycheck. Basically, everything that I was saying like last recap, she's saying this, but she's not saying it to Jen's face. So it's like, you're talking shit too. Like, if you're not an enabler, like you claim, then you would say to Jen's face everything that you're saying behind her back about her finances. You not presenting it to her that way in her face, you're enabling her. You're enabling her to be basically broke. So, I mean, if you feel like, she needs to do something about her finances, you should say to her, listen, you need to do something about your finances. Do you need help with your resume? Do you need to have like some connections? Do you need me to make some phone calls to see who's hiring? Do you want to study for your real estate license? You need a job. You need to do something to secure a paycheck. She should say that to her and to her face instead of behind her back. And she's not doing that. Katie also had Shannon over her house. They were talking about it, rehashing what happened at the golf outing. The whole entire, built up was Gina's event where she had like a dinner at a restaurant in the back room. And it was basically like a showdown between Shannon and Alexis, and that was what the built-up is. And whatever, I'm like so sick of Alexis. The last time I saw Alexis on my TV screen, she had took a pair of scissors out and she had cut off the sleeves of a dress, like these big poofy sleeves, and Alexis comes out of nowhere with a pair of scissors and she just like cuts out the sleeves and she's like, oh, there, much better. I like it much better this way. Or some shit like that. And I was just like, oh my God, girl, like what the fuck? I have no idea who the fuck she is, but whoever she is like, oh my God, you are not legit like a fashion designer like that. So the episode ends with like Alexis pulling out like, I guess, wire transfers or some shit, saying like, oh, look, I have the receipts. I mean, Alexis is trying to come back as a full-time cast member, is obvious. And, Heather, she's very well aware of it because she even says to her, like, look, maybe you need to like bring it down a couple of notches and like, set aside whatever, John Jansen bullshit and like try to have some sort of friendship with Shannon. Here's the thing. Alexis and Shannon, they do not know each other. At Heather's event, at her like New Year's Eve event or New Year's Day event, that was the first time they ever met each other face to face. When they were outside in that like little patio area and they were talking to each other, that was the first conversation they actually had with each other. So the two of them, even though they knew of each other, they have never met each other until Heather Dubrow's New Year's party. Maybe Alexis feels like this is a way of securing a contract for her to come back onto the show. Shannon, she gets up and leaves. Jen goes out to follow her, to comfort her. And Vicki has like some weird Christian moments. At first, I thought she was trolling Jesus Barbie because Jesus Barbie is always like about her Christian faith and all this other stuff. The biggest hypocrites are always spewing about Jesus and Christianity and all this other stuff, Anyway, it was very weird what Vicki was doing. She was like, we're all Christian women. We all believe in Jesus. Like, I don't know if Vicki was drunk herself. I don't know what she was doing. Maybe she was drunk, but she basically ended up her big whooping it up with like leaving, talking about Jesus. There you have it. That was the episode. So what did you guys think of the episode? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? What do you think about the $75,000? I personally feel like, how would you even ask for a $75,000 loan? Again, because I am of the personality, of the mindset that I'm never going to see my money. The minute it leaves my hand, I'm never getting that money back. So if somebody's asking me for $100, even if they're saying, oh, can you loan it to me? I'll pay you back. I'll give it back to you at the end of the month or whatever. If I am okay with never seeing that money again, then I would give it. But if I had some expectation like that, I would just be like, fuck no. Like, you need to go ask, Chase Bank or something because you're not getting that loan from me. But I mean, like, how would you even ask for a facelift? Like, what would you say? Can you give me $35,000 so I could have a facelift? Like, all right, guys, that's it. I'll catch you up next episode. Let me know what you think of the episode. And don't forget to hit the like, follow, subscribe, leave me a comment and all that good jazz. Bye.